All right. Are we actually live or is this a fake start? I'll find out in a second. Oh, I think we're actually live immediately. They're getting good about doing this. That almost never happens. Wasn't ready for that in the first 30 seconds, but I just saw a viewer. So I think we're actually live. So we'll find out. Let me double check it, or is it going to reset that timer? What's it doing? There it actually goes. All right, and we are live. It always does that 20 to 40-second delay where it gives me a fake start. Hey, everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. Thought I would sit down and do a live for you guys. Let me give you guys a forearm shot before we get started. And let's get over and get into this. Also, follow me on the Facebook fan page, which I just linked, or the fitness page, whatever we want to call it. It's all good. I'm going to briefly answer this question, then we will get to everybody's questions. So why do I train muscles once a week now? In addition to the fact that the evidence is more or less suggested there's no real benefits of training the muscles multiple times a week. It's about volume. As long as everything is equal, it really is the same. All the other stuff that we thought we knew as to possible different theories as to benefits to higher frequency just simply haven't panned out. And anecdotally, people made amazing gains and won Mr. Olympias and broke world records in powerlifting training stuff once a week for decades. Never a problem. The thing, though, that I will go with as far as the personal preference and nuance, it is about joints and tendons. One thing that I can say with absolute certainty, doing this at age 47, when I train muscles only once a week, I only bench once a week, only deadlift once a week, all that stuff, my joints and tendons feel amazing. It is night and day. Okay, so that's a big difference for me. When I was benching twice a week, I'm just as strong now at a lighter body weight. If you factor in doing flat back, right, I'm just as strong, but I don't get any aches and pains. My shoulders feel great. I don't get any inflammation anywhere. It really is about longevity under the barbell. And I think we could use examples. I mean, let's take examples. Let's set aside the other stuff. I mean, who's the most jacked guy we all know over 50? And that would be Mike O'Hearn. He trains things once a week. He isn't hurt. He's still strong. Guy looks amazing. And I'm not saying just because he does it, that automatically makes it good. But, I mean, look at the example that you do have. Anybody else out there over 50 doing what he's doing? Nobody. And you got to look at his training and go, he clearly has something figured out. And as someone who's experimented with it in their late 40s, I can say, okay, I get it now, because I absolutely feel the difference, especially the joints, things like shoulders, things like hips. When I'm doing stuff once a week, I can go pretty dang heavy and nothing hurts. Nothing hurts. Like it feels fine. Like I don't wake up hurting in the morning. So again, it absolutely works. All right, so we've covered that, and we got quite a few viewers. Let's see if we can get some actual questions in here. All right, Redmond says, hey, Jason, on max lower day, can you squat and deadlift, and how would you set it up? Can you or should you would be the question. Okay, I'm going to say that unless you really have recovery dialed in, how good a shape are you in and how perfect is your lifestyle? And being perfect lifestyle can also include, right? You getting any extra recovery in a bottle. Okay, if you're not perfectly dialed in, I'm going to say pick one. Either for your max effort, either a squat, a deadlift, or a good morning. If you're going to run a conjugate type training, and pick one of them. Everything else needs to be rep work, right? Everything else needs to be, can I get jacked? If you're going to power lift, maybe have an assistance exercise in there. Okay, you can have a moderate rep, moderately heavy assistance exercise on max effort day. One of them, but then everything else needs to be hypertrophy. Your quad work, your leg presses, your reverse hypers, all that stuff. If you're going to ask. Now, if you're running a gram of magical creatine a week and you're in a good sized calorie surplus, yeah, man, go ahead and do both. If you can handle it, but assess it and see. Kay Singh says, hey, coach, can I just use reverse hyper machine for lower back strength, not trying to break records, just for health and fitness? Kay Singh, have you not heard me say repeatedly over and over and over and over and over and over and over that every human being on earth should be using a reverse hyper? And if you're over the age of 35, it shouldn't even be optional. Right? Right? Bob, no, not ectosterone. I'm not going to say it, but you know exactly what I meant. It starts with a T and ends with testosterone. All right. That was a hint. This guy says I can't pronounce anything right. Jason, I disagree with you on bench press technique. Medium grip, moderate arch, and complete pause are best for hypertrophy. Well, I quite frankly don't care. You disagree with me. Okay. You don't even have a real name. Who gives a shit? All right. You don't even have a real name. You're not even a real person. All right. Next. Casing, I was wondering if your opinion has changed on the R. Are you talking about the reverse hyper again? Has it changed since last week when I made the last video on it? You're asking, has my opinion changed since Tuesday? Because I'm pretty sure I said this on Tuesday in a video. No, my opinion has not changed since last Tuesday. Bob, I'm perfectly safe. Don't worry about it. We good. All right. Just in general, I've been gone. Maybe. Okay. Yeah, no, I specifically said the same thing about the reverse hyper on Tuesday last week. And I'm pretty sure I said it on the Tuesday the week before and the Tuesday the week. So we're good, man. No, you should be using it. I think the reverse hyper is amazing. I think most people should be doing it. I think everyone over the age of 40, even if they're a non-lifter, even if you don't lift, you should have a reverse hyper. Just for general back health. I think your grandma should have one. Okay? So any questions? We got it. All right. Fantastic. All right. Let's get some likes. Why do we only have 6 likes? And some of y'all need to be following the Facebook fitness page. Is Darko still here? I don't know who Darko is. You're going to have to refresh my memory. I'm old. All right. Steve, why don't you have a cable machine? Because I haven't felt like buying one. Right. Mike Israetel says a decent chest arch is better than flat back because it puts more emphasis on the chest. Where's the biomechanical proof? You get a deeper stretch without one. With dumbbells, maybe. With dumbbells, maybe, but not with a barbell. Technically, you lose range of motion in the lengthened position. I don't know that that's going to give you better tension. Bob says, do cables have any advantages over free weights? Yeah, for certain movement patterns, maybe, as far as changing the tension curve. Adam says, do you prefer quad extensions with bands or with the reverse hyper? If you had to pick between the two instead of an actual leg extension machine, I would go with the reverse hyper if forced to pick between those two choices. Is pause weighted dips a good variation? I don't know. Maybe. I suppose, sure. I don't really do dips these days. I'm not super wild about them. And I'm not bashing dips. I don't think they bring anything special to the table. And for some people, they're higher risk. But if you love them and they feel safe for you and you can do them safe and you don't ego lift on them, go ahead and do them. They're still a good exercise, right? They're still a good exercise. Just, I think for some people, especially when their ego can get in the way, that the juice may not be worth the squeeze. But, I guess we could say that about a lot of exercises. So really, it's honestly just opinion. Bob says, have you ever done anything like the Ironman or a Spartan race? Not only have I never done one, I've never even seen one in person. All right. Dean says, imagine if the haters donate more just to send hate mail. Yeah, let them, dude. Let them. Radish says, wow, look at the arm veins, right? Look at that. Got a garden hose running up my arm. Let's see. Oh, John, are you trying to be a troll or are you actually trying to be nice? I'm going to let you decide. I can already see the thing, though. But let me go to your channel and see if you're trolling or if you actually are being kind about Nova. Well, until you say something crazy, I'm going to let it slide because he was a good boy. All right. I can't pronounce says, thoughts on world record holder and weighted chin saying getting very, very strong with them will build big biceps. I don't know that it really will compared to curls. Brandon Court says, hello. Well, hello to you. Radish says, you get more compliments with arm bands when you didn't have them. Some people are freaked out. No, I get compliments. Zachary, I never had problems with girls, to be honest. Will I say they do prefer the lean look more? Yes. But it's never an issue. But yeah, generally it's been favorable. But I'm not going to get into all that. This is not that type of channel, right? It's not that type of channel. Not what I'm running here. All right. Brandon, I don't know what aura points are. Could you explain what you mean? Are you going to do some photo shoots when you hit your end goals like mine? I don't know. Maybe if a couple people have suggested the idea. Any new info on vitamins, specifically fish oil? I don't know. It depends on what the last info you saw was. I mean, there's always going to be nuance to that topic. You promote getting a proper pause and stretch at the bottom of pull-ups for maximum hypertrophy. Because she enjoys getting a stretch reflex. I don't have a problem with her getting a stretch reflex. I personally like to do pause work at the bottom, but the fact that she's getting gains, she's getting a stretch reflex, she's getting to the bottom of them and cranking out crazy amounts of reps. As a coach, I'm perfectly fine with it. It's good. Thoughts on blue zone diets? I mean, they're probably generally good. I mean, we could make some arguments about stuff with the blue zones, right? But I don't know what we're asking about thoughts on them specifically. Stiff leg deadlift for RDL's assistance to help build deadlift. Yeah, potentially, particularly if you need more hamstrings. And that's what I thought. I bet you can throw a football pretty far. I wouldn't know. I don't care. Bob, how important is stretching flexibility? It depends on what you're trying to do. How often do you recommend using it? You keep saying RMH. Are you talking about the reverse hyper? So you would be a RHE, reverse hyper extension, not reverse hyper. I think you mean machine. I mean, I do it once a week, but I mean, some people, if they need it for prehab purposes, doing it daily for a while isn't bad. Do you think a reverse hyper is able to reverse a herniated disc? Not reverse it, but it will certainly support it and it will certainly help. It's not going to reverse. I mean, a herniated disc is herniated. How much of a role does insulin play in weight loss? Kind of important, right? Kind of important. I mean, considering you need it to live, considering you definitely need it to gain muscle. I mean, technically a poor insulin response, you're not even going to gain muscle. You're going to lose muscle while you're trying to diet. If you're losing muscle, your metabolic rate's going to go down. So yes, having a healthy, strong insulin response is a real good idea. for improvements in body composition. Not saying you want elevated insulin because of insulin resistance. You don't want that, but you do need a healthy insulin response, right? But eating a diet that causes improved insulin sensitivity, lifting weights, all that usually covers it. All right. And I'm not going to have you insulting her in my feed. So that's it. We're done. All right. What are those red hearts on screen? I don't know. Probably people hitting love buttons. All right. In relation to hypertrophy and bodybuilding. Oh, and how important is stretching flexibility? Because you split it up. You got to ask them as one line, right? As one line. They're not particularly relevant to hypertrophy or bodybuilding. Have you ever trained sumo for a training block? Yes, I've done it on camera in the past. Is it insulin that causes palumbolism? I don't discuss PEDs here anymore. Dean, no, it's not. Definitely not children. Why would children have pheromones? You're a weirdo. Get out of here. Children don't produce pheromones. You need to be gone. Sorry. Yeah, that's not what I said. You guys have remixed a video and spun it into something I didn't say. Now, let me be clear what he's talking about. I made a video in 2012 on my smaller relationship advice channel advising to a young man that he needed to break up with his 15-year-old girlfriend because he was 19 and it was inappropriate. Okay. I made that video and I discussed the history of age of consent and I explained why we need age of consent laws, why they're a good thing, why they exist, why they're beneficial to society. I told the young man to break up with the girl. She was 4 years younger than him. She had no business dating her. That was the video. And weirdos like this have tried to spin it into something completely different. I mean, again, this is a problem. Irene, no, that's Tinky Winky, Dipsy, and La La. We don't need to cover that. No, that French clown, I don't know if he's doing anything at all still. Who knows? Do you think prolonged sitting is detrimental to health beyond just lack of movement? Probably. Well, yeah, it can cause to shortening hamstrings and stuff like that. Marco says, is rounded back on stiff leg deadlift okay? I don't have the flexibility to go all the way down with straight legs. I mean, to some extent, yeah. I mean, but are you doing a stiff leg or are you doing an RDL? Because I'm going to give you a slightly different answer for those two. A rounded back is normal on the stiff leg deadlift. On a Romanian deadlift, you should generally try to minimize it because you're not starting in a rounded position. Bob, you can't sue people if you can't identify them, and you can't sue people who don't have money. It costs you money. You spend $100,000 and you don't get anything back. Is it still hot? No, it's not hot. It's pretty reasonable at the moment. But yeah, Bob, they twisted that in all sorts of weird directions. I literally was breaking down and trying to relate to the young man and say, look, I can see maybe where he's coming from, but he needs to end it, right? So, I mean, ultimately, it was a video I made 12 years ago telling a 19-year-old he needed to break up with his teenage girlfriend and broke down to him why he needed to do it. So to twist that as something negative, come on, guys. Ridiculous. Literally told the kid to quit breaking the law and to grow up and maybe go find a girl his own age. Okay. Sorry. And when you spin that as negative, that says something about you as a person. Right? Because he has that age gap is just too big, really, especially at that age difference. Bob, no, they come up with them because they need to just come up with anything. Keeping in mind, the reason those people have targeted me in general is because they don't like people speaking up against these things. I'm a survivor who has been outspoken about it. And if they have those tendencies, that's a terrifying thing for them. Radish says, how do you get good at public speech? I don't use filler words or phrases. I do sometimes when I'm nervous. I took a public speaking class. I took a public speaking class many, many years ago. That helps. I would advise you do that. But yeah, Bob, I mean, essentially, that's exactly what it comes down to. That is literally the entirety of their motive. They don't like the idea that survivors of that stuff will then speak out against it. Because that means their victims are going to speak out against them one day. And they sure don't want someone like me saying, hey, you can heal and you can talk about it. And you can come out and you can accuse your attackers later like I did. You can press charges. And to see someone who's being strong and who says that as an adult, that scares them. Because like, oh man. Because that's how you end this problem. Okay? It's not these vigilante groups. You end problems like that when the victims are empowered and they speak out. When they go to the police, when they testify, when they say, this monster did this. There's your solution. Again, perfect example of the person remixing and taken out of context. I gave a whole history of the age of consent, the age of all that in the US, and why we need those laws. Because it didn't say it was normal, I said it happens. And therefore, why do we need those laws? Because that stuff does happen. Okay, and we live in a time period where it is no longer, it's not appropriate. Okay, it's just not. We don't live 200 years ago, right? We don't live 200 years ago where it's appropriate for some dude to marry a girl that young. We just don't. It's socially inappropriate. It's bad for society. That's what I said in the video. So stop lying, guys, because you knew that's what I said. Mike says, Jason, what do you think about Mark Lobliner going carnivore? He said he's doing it because he thinks it will help his joint pain. Well, then Mark is a fucking moron. All right. If he actually said that. Michael says, unfortunately, there are also a few who falsely accuse some of the things they didn't do, which damages the whole movement for victims to come out. Maybe, I don't know about any of that. They were once making a fake video. I wasn't aware they even made that video, Radish. I haven't actually seen it. But Lyle says, hey, Jason, what are your thoughts on current baby oil usage in fitness? I don't understand the question. What do you mean? I have no context for this. I've never heard of this before. All right. But yeah, let's get rid of all that other nonsense. Like everyone knows what my stance is on it. Everyone knows that's my stance. No, I'm not. Get rid of this Irene. No reasonable person thinks that I'm short. Sorry. No one who looks at my footage or who's met me thinks that. Get out of here. All right. Bob, you can't get rid of it. It's impossible. It's impossible. Like I can't make a living and have a life and actually do that at the same time. You got to pick and choose. I don't have 100 hours a week to dedicate to trying to do that. Sorry. I got a business to run. I have a life to live. So, But again, people doing that, it kind of shows their mindset. And it's totally okay to evolve ideas and opinions from previous statements. Yeah, but Miko, in this case, what do we mean? So I should change my position? My position was that we need age of consent laws and that they're a good thing. What am I supposed to evolve to from that? I'm not changing that stance. Sorry, we need those laws. We need those laws in place to prevent predatory behavior, period. Right? Society benefits from those laws existing. All right, Mike says, Jason, I noticed in your leg day vlog yesterday, you used SSB for squats, but straight bar for calves. Do you? No, the SSB would be a problem for me for calf raises. Think about it. Think about the loading and trying to keep that stabilized. I'm not doing that, dude. My calves are never going to get worked. Radish says, do Asian women in the U.S. lift in your areas becoming popular in South Asia? To my knowledge, they do, yeah. Right? To my knowledge, they do. I mean, I don't hang out in the local gyms here in my area. I train at home. But if I go based upon women I see maybe wearing fitness apparel who look fit in the grocery store and out shopping and out about, I'm going to say, yeah, it seems to be the case. Right? I would assume it appears to be the case, and why wouldn't it? Should chat them up about bodybuilding. Why? Again, you make a lot of assumptions about my personal life, Bob. Why should I be chatting them up? Radesh, but I don't, that's a stereotype where you are. What does that have to do with where I live? Meaning, might be just a cultural thing in your country, right? It has nothing to do with the ethnicity. It literally might just be your country, right? I don't know. All right, what else we got going on here, guys? Does your sled generate a lot of friction? Yes, some. I do have the nylon feet on it, though. Right. So I have replaceable nylon feet. What training books would you recommend? At this point, I don't. I've got up and done that. I had a whole reading list before I put up somewhere. I mean, I don't know if that would change. You could read all that stuff. Read all the West Side stuff. Read Starting Strength. You could read Beyond Brawn. You could probably, these are all good reads, right? You can even go back and read the old Arnold Schwarzenegger encyclopedia. We used to have, all of us had those books. I had a big stack of bodybuilding books now. Training books. Read a couple textbooks wouldn't be bad, right? Read the Science and Practice. I've held the textbook up before, the big ass textbook I bought. I held it on camera before. I had a reading list for you guys. I don't feel like dragging it all back out. Actually, Bredman, read everything. Read everything. Everything you can get your hands on. Really be my advice. Take it all in. Combine it with your real world experience. Listen to coaches, right? Listen to me. Our lifting forums, I don't really hang out in current lifting forums, so I don't know about that. There's probably a mix of good and bad information on them, right? Barry Buckle says, hey, Jason, I have my 10th meet coming up in 2 weeks. I'm still feeling nervous. Have you gotten over your nerves by your 10th? Bro, you should be over those nerves by that second meet, right? Second meet, my nerves were gone. Because that's just me. I mean, you've already done meets. You already know how it goes. Get in and just do it, dude. Get in and have fun, right? Just be chill. Relax, chat with the other bros, chat with the coaches, chat with the lifters. Do your lifts, man. Ain't no thing but a chicken wing. I don't get nervous when I compete at all, other than, your first one. Jason, do you have any advice if calf raises aggravate my patellar fasciitis? Well, maybe try something else. I don't know. I need to see what's going on with your lifting, and we need to assess it. Maybe it's just how you're doing it. Barry says, thanks, coach. I will try to chill out more. That's it, man. Just learn to be chill. Nice advice on training muscle once a week. I feel it's the way to go, especially as we get older. Miko says, why is it that every judge seems to have a different standard on successful depth? Aren't they trained? Depends on the federation. Wow, Dean. Yeah, see, Dean, that's crazy made-up slander that y'all's group made up based on nothing. Again, get out of here with that nonsense. Should I order takeout or stick to my diet? You should stick to your diet. You need to delete those takeout apps off your phone. Do you still go pew-pew at the range? That's nobody's business. I don't actually discuss that. Yes, we know that's obviously not the dean that donates to me. He chose that name for a reason. Again, craziness. You have more patience than me, Bob. I'm a pretty patient person. I'm pretty chill. Like anyone who knows, that's because you don't know me. People who know me are like, dude, Jason's like the chillest dude you'll ever meet. But like, it really takes a lot to rile him up. Like, that's actually what I'm known for in my circle. I'm known for being calm. I'm the level-headed one. Gee, Miko. Those are serious. Yeah, because you can totally press charges against random anonymous people on the internet who you don't know what country they live in. Okay, now let's be honest. That statement is delusional. To think that you can find random spammers from all over the world hiding behind VPNs who could be in Bangladesh, they could be in Houston. To think that you could take any sort of action against them is delusional thinking. Come on, bro. All right. I found pink elephant floyd. I'm the dean. I just changed my name because I don't like using my real name. All right. Mika, why do you think I'm taking those specific screenshots? Those screenshots have nothing to do with taking actions across the world in court. Those screenshots are to show the police later so that I don't do a single day in jail when I hammer everything flat that looks like a nail on my front lawn. That's the only thing that's about. That's it. All right. The casino, a good place to socialize. That's a weird quote. What the fuck? Casino. I don't even understand that question. What the fuck are you talking about? Casino. A casino is a place where you go to gamble, right? I think that's why you go there. Good strategy to see it going dry on the Teletubbies. Pretty much, dude. Rahish, gambling as a hobby. I mean, what? You have me completely dumbfounded. I don't even understand what you're gambling as a hobby. And so I guess, dude, I don't know. I don't even know how to answer that. No, dude, gambling is an addiction you do that sometimes makes money. It's kind of a bad hobby, I guess, unless you're really good at it and make money, then it's financially. Not sure what it really has to do with I guess if it's how you socialize, I don't know. It's not really my thing. It's illegal where I live. I mean, it's kind of a backroom type. I mean, there's casinos in other places that are legal, like Las Vegas or like the Indian reservations and things in certain parts of the U.S. But it's not really a thing here. So, it's yeah. So I don't really know what gambling is like in your country. Sorry. No, tons of people. My parents used to love to go to Vegas. I've never been. I found Pink Floyd first says so 6 sets versus 10 sets. There won't be that much of a difference in muscle growth wise. Will 3 exercises for 2 sets each work? Well, I mean, maybe why not just do the? I mean, it's going to depend on what your needs are, how close to failure you are. Radish, stop saying legal in U.S. Don't think of laws. Okay, I can tell you've never been to America. All right. Oh, Jesus, I got to educate you people. Don't think of the U.S. as one country for laws. Okay. Most of your laws are states. So the question would be what's legal in Texas? It doesn't matter what's legal in the United States. There aren't that many laws in the United States that are American laws. Like that's a tiny little section of minor stuff involving the mail and threatening politicians and stuff across state lines. Right. Okay. So think of Texas laws, New York laws, California laws. That's the laws you live under in the United States. The United States of America, think of them as individual countries almost. For the rest of the world should see it in those terms, right? In Texas, most gambling is not legal. All right. Bob is right. Yeah, those vary too. Every individual state has their own, and it has variation. Um, all right. Get any other good training stuff? But back to that question about the volume, it really comes down to how close you're going to failure. Stimulus to fatigue of certain exercises, how well you're recovering. I mean, 6 versus 10 could be a difference for some people, right? But it's going to depend on everything from relative strength to recovery, work capacity. There's a lot of factors there. I mean, sure, you could do 2 sets of 3 exercises. I personally just if you're only going to do 6 sets, though, I think 2 exercises is probably for most people just more efficient, right? What's a good indication lifter should go up a weight class? There's a lot of factors, right? There's a lot of factors. You're going to have to look at it and be like, are you going to be competitive in the next weight class up, and are you ready to gain weight? Right? It's really what you need to be looking at. Does leaning forward in the dip engage more chest? Hypothetically, sure. Mike says, Jason, when you were doing heavy camber bar squats in Good Mornings, they were technically in almost a high bar position on my back due to the nature of the bar, but the stance and positioning were low bar themselves, right? As far as stance with hip back angles. 6'8" says, where is the pendulum these days? I don't understand your question. Bob says, hit or regular cardio better for cutting? Both. When was the last time you squatted 600? That cambered bar, which is dated on the channel. You type in the 605 in the channel search engine, and it'll give you the date. It was high, though. It was not to depth, and I was 40 pounds heavier than I am now. Bob, I'm going to lean towards a little bit less intense than hit for most people just because of the recovery side of the hit. But a little bit of hit could be reasonable in the cut. A little bit lower intensity down, still probably going to be more sustainable calorie burn over time. I remember that you may have been a higher body fat. You were so thick as hell, especially the legs. Yeah, no, I was definitely higher body fat. Yeah, I was definitely thick. Bob says, will the hypertrophy you get from something like uphill sprints be meaningful? Probably not much if you're already lifting weights. No. Do you think you can achieve new lift records, or those days are in the past? I don't really know, Miko. I'll worry about it when I start looking at records and all that again. Right now, it's not something I'm really have on the radar, but I don't want to say never. Yeah, it's within possibility. Misha says double overhead deadlift. What's a great way to lift without straps? I guess 500 pounds, right? 5 plates. I'm just gonna throw something out since it's not really a contested lift. Matthew, when did I bench that in the meat prep? I really didn't. Right? And it wasn't just, it wasn't a few months later. I had cut another, you know about that 365? I was definitely having some shoulder stuff. And what was I benching going into the meet? You saw me benching 315 going into the meet. Best squat variation, I don't think there is a best. Jason, do you think there will be able to deadlift 500 pounds in year 60? I'm hoping so. John, did you investigate the current? Dude, I don't have time. I literally don't have time. I have so much other stuff going on. I literally don't have time, and I quite frankly I don't care. I just don't care enough to investigate, to be honest. It has no impact on my life. Right? I got other stuff to worry about. I haven't spoke to Joe in years. So how do we define good terms? He was a client for a bit. We left on good terms, but we haven't spoken since maybe a month after he quit being coached. And that's been, that's been like 4 years. I haven't talked to him since. I have no idea. I mean, I would assume we'd be okay. I haven't checked in. He hasn't checked in with me. 60-year-olds and deadlifting 500 pounds yeah, you hear about it in the strength world. They're out there. I was joking. He was all right client. Yeah. He seemed to be a good kid at the time. I mean, I'm not going to badmouth the guy. I mean, everything wasn't perfect, but he seemed to be all right. He wasn't a bad client. He wasn't a top-tier client either. He was an average client. Right? It would be good to speak about Joe's situation because, Miko, I would have to go investigate and research it. Right? I don't know what's going on. Dude, guys, I have a bunch of stuff going on in my own life. You know what I mean? I have so many things going on in my personal life that I don't have time to worry about stuff like that. I come on here to run my business, right? That's why I'm on here. I really don't have the extra time for that. And it's nothing personal. I literally don't have time. Yeah, Bob, stuff's good, but I mean, I've got a lot of shit going on. Do you ever fire paying clients for non-compliance? I have a couple times. It's very rare. No, Miko, I literally have stuff that has nothing to do with my business that takes a lot of my time. So for me right now to delve into internet stuff and stuff happening with other public figures or whatever, I just don't have the time. I don't have the emotional energy, if that makes sense. Right? I have some really good stuff going on in my life I'm dealing with. I also have some people really close to me who are going through some things that I'm having to help them with that are really important to me. So, I mean, for me to dig into its drama online, I just don't. Why don't you just keep them on? Oh, John, I do, unless they become a problem. Keeping in mind a non-compliant client, if a non-compliant client's going to pay me and just not comply, and they live with the consequences, I will absolutely never cut them loose. I'm going to take $300 a month. If a non-compliant client blames me for their non-compliance and argues and creates drama, and they're not worth the money they pay me, then it's going to be different. But if someone just, oh, coach, sorry, I didn't follow the workout, but they keep paying on time and they're paying $300 a month, they're like, okay, but you need to fix it. I expect you to fix it. I expect you to fix it next time. I'm just going to keep telling them. I'm going to do the accountability. But I mean, that's a little different. But if it's becoming an issue, if they're unhappy with the coaching, but they're not complying, then we got a problem, because then they're creating a problem for me. So it kind of works both ways. It's just the nature of it. So again, nature of coaching. Do you find having to chase clients? Occasionally, but usually not that bad. I mean, it's occasionally, but it's not that common. Should shoulder problems can take away more than 50 pounds off your bench? Yeah. How much weight on a bench to reach advanced generally? I don't know. It's going to depend on your body weight experience. There's charts for it. You can go look them up. Do clients need to film every rep or just order to be? No, they don't have to film everything. I need them to generally be compliant with the programming I give. And depending upon where they are in the client stuff, if they're a fairly new client, yeah, I do want to see most of the sets. If I've had them a while, I don't only need to see form checks occasional, but we do need to see their main important lifts, right? So again, that is not a straightforward question. It really depends on where they are in the rotation. Experience level goals, how long I've been coaching them. Jason, what are your thoughts on the bodybuilding philosophy of not having too much fat in your post-workout meal? I think that's overhyped. That comes back down to the whole anabolic window and concerns over absorption speed, which is largely overhyped, over worried about. John says, sounds like a thorough service you offer, nonetheless, reiterate actually pretty good value. I think it is. Most of my clients are pretty happy with that, to be fair. Most of them are pretty happy. The majority feel like they get their money's worth. Occasionally, you're going to have someone who doesn't. I've been enjoying your recent videos about how to get a 315 bench, because a 500 squat and deadlift are they're just different. Those are not even in the same caliber of each other. A little more leverages too. Matthew Welser, you refused to answer because it wasn't 4 months, Matthew. It was a much bigger gap. And then we dealt with that shoulder impingement again from the pull-ups. But then I went on. But the thing is, we come back over to Matthew. The same plates I did with the 365 were used for the other work sets when I was down in the 315 range again, rehabbing that. Right? So again, pretty straightforward. Plus, you need to take a look at me right now. Sorry, if you really think I'm not repping 315 on the bench with how I look right now on top of it for rep work, you're delusional. All right. Would you coach a client who cannot film their lifts in public gym because they need to change gyms? I mean, they change gyms, dude. Come on. Thoughts on Michael Hooper? He said he's going to break Thor's deadlift record. I wouldn't rule it out. I mean, based on what I've seen, it's within the realm of possibility. Now, you don't break it until you break it. Until then, it's all talk. But see where I'm going? Dude, I think I give him at least a 50-50 actually doing it. Yeah. I mean, it comes down to if I were to have to bet on it. Betting odds. I'm going to lean in favor of him doing it. What's the most you've benched in an official meet? 331. Hey, Jason, do you find that a lot of your clients have a history of overtraining? Do you think people who do sports tend to overtrain more? Yeah, oftentimes. Yeah, I have a history of that. Do you think the main cause of plumballism is – no, I'm not going to discuss PEDs, guys. Sorry. But yeah, guys, since being on YouTube, I benched 331 in a meet as a YouTuber. Right? And I was benching right about the same going into the meet. You know? All right. Where are we at? We're about 49 minutes in. I'm going to wind this down here in a couple of minutes. I think we're getting close to that time. I planned on starting this sooner because I need to be free for something. I got lost track of time. I was going to do this an hour sooner. What brand of sled? I have a Rogue sled. What ratio of back to chest weekly volume you need to aim for? Back is weak. I mean, keep them pretty similar. I don't buy into the you need twice as many sets of pulling as pushing. It doesn't make sense. Best grip width for bench. I don't think there is a best. Fahatati, yeah. Oh, there we go. Oh gosh, I knew you were probably a troll. Dislike. Get rid of this guy. Jason, as you were doing more physique coaching, do you risk? I'm not going to discuss that. I don't really worry or think about big Lenny at all. Like, why is this a topic? You guys follow the weirdness of whatever. Are you a fan of inverted rows? Yeah, I've done them on camera. I programmed them for clients. I like them. Thoughts on dumbbell overhead extensions with one dumbbell behind the head using two dumbbells and incline bench? Just because of comfort. Yeah, I mean, the one behind the head is good too. It's a good exercise. Would it be pointless to chin up and pull up in the same workout? No, I mean, it's there could be times when it's beneficial, right? Not something I would regularly program, but there are times when I might program it. Yeah, I don't really know what happened to Big Lenny. So, yeah. It's not really on my radar. I don't really care. I don't discuss that. Why would you expect TRT to do a whole lot for your bench? Plus, I don't discuss that. Behind the head extensions can tear the triceps, or at least more prone to. I mean, maybe in theory, yeah. Misha says fat grips worthwhile accessory. Yeah, potentially. You seem to be generally against Zercher movements and comforter. Is it just an inferior position? Like, unless you're using it for wrestling, the actual Zercher position for sport specificity, why would you bother? Like, do you think it's as good as a back squat? Do you think it's as good as a deadlift for the muscles of the trunk and the lower body? No. It's a sport-specific exercise. Now, is it useful for grapplers potentially, wrestlers, maybe even some BJJ guys? Sure, absolutely. Is it useful for maximizing muscle mass or maximum strength production? Probably not. Oh, Carrio's Grizzly is also disgustingly fat. Pistol squats are pretty much a parlor trick. I don't think they're that useful, to be honest. Best list to improve. Just get strong, dude. Just get strong, man. All right, we're 53 minutes in. I'm going to go ahead and wind this down. Hope it's been informative. I love all of you guys and gals. Let me give you guys a forum shot before we go. And I'll talk to you next time.